Hi, what's happening? Y'all, it's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and as promised, I'm here to present to y'all all of the clips and analysis for every player in every position group from today's practice. Well, by the time y'all are watching this, yesterday's practice, June 10th, the first day of mandatory mini camps, man. Like I said, we have clips of everything. We have several Jayden Daniels to Deebo Samuel throws and catches. We have Luke McCaffrey apparently ascending. We have Ja'Cory Crosskey-Merritt with a 60-yard touchdown run. It looks like arguably the most explosive running back in our running back room already. Again, we're going to dive into everything. I have every position group except for linebacker. And I even have some special teams. Linebacker is the only position group that I don't have any type of update to give y'all other than the fact that Bobby Wagner wasn't at practice today. Linebacker and safety. Other than that, we have at least some sort of an update for every other position group. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video. Shouts out to everybody that finally watched the Javon Kinlaw video and everything. I hope y'all enjoyed that. And now we're getting back to regular Commanders content, and I'm about to start getting into the film sessions for the rookie class. That will be exclusive to channel members only. Without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so before practice, we had some really random, interesting things like Jason Garrett pulled up. Jason Garrett was at the first day of mandatory mini camps, and he was hanging with Wes Welker, as you can see on in the screen right now with the clip that I'm showing you. They were having a conversation and everything like that. Those are two former Dallas Cowboys between Jason Garrett and Dan Quinn, and even you could throw Joe Witt Jr. Like, there's a lot of connections to Jason Garrett. Even though Dan Quinn was not there at the same time that Jason Garrett was, there's still that connection. But it was just kind of weird even seeing like a blue shirt among all of the burgundy and gold guys. That was just like a little weird, but hey, I don't exactly know why he was there, but it couldn't really hurt, I guess. And then you also had my dog Will Muschamp. Now I know some teams out there, some certain college universities don't see Will Muschamp in a bright light. I love him. Everything he's done at Georgia has been top tier elite. He's one of the main reasons we had arguably the best defense in college football history when we did for like a year or two. So shouts out to Will Muschamp being at the Commanders minicamp. I wish I would have gotten a picture of it. The only reason I know he was there was because Nikki Javala said so. But hey man, that's an elite defensive mind right there. Is he, have the potential to be a head coach? I'm not saying that, but as a defensive mind, you can't doubt the genius. There's no way you could discredit the genius. So hey man, him involved in any way, the only reason I'm sad about it is because I don't want the Commanders to pull him away from Georgia. But if he ends up taking a job at the NFL level, please let it be the Commanders. I'm begging that it's the Commanders. Right now he's just like an analyst for Georgia. Right now he stepped away from like a full-time coaching position. They kind of finessed it to where he can coach a little bit if he wants to. He doesn't really want to recruit. He just kind of wants to help with the defense a little bit here and there. But he's kind of chilling. He's spending most of the time with his family. That's the whole reason he even stepped down to take that smaller role. Either way, if he for some reason leaves college and goes to the NFL, I will be more than happy for the Commanders to scoop him up in whatever role he wants to participate in. Maybe not like full-blown defensive coordinator, but any other role that he may want, throw him in there. And then moving on to injuries. Well, technically this is not an injury here. Bobby Wagner was not in attendance at yesterday's mini camp practice. Again, June 10th. By the time y'all are watching this, it will already be June 11th. So I'm saying yesterday, but this was the first day of practice. He was excused for a personal reason, and he will be there tomorrow/today, June 11th. And a lot of people are speculating that it was probably him going to his graduation for finally getting his MBA at Howard University. Man, big congratulations. First of all, big congratulations for that just in general. But if that's the reason that he missed practice, that is a perfectly great reason. Excellent reason right there, man. So shouts out to Bobby Wagner. Everybody clap it up for Bobby. Oh yeah, I'm not even live right now. I'm so used to being live, man. I don't even know why I did that. But either way, shouts out to the fact that Marshawn Lattimore was there. Laramie Tunsil, him being there, still really interesting. But we already saw him pull up to the media day on June 9th You know, he was already in his Commander's uniform, so you could kind of already make the assumption that, okay, he's going to be there the first day of mandatory minicamp the day after that. But Lattimore was not seen at that media day. Maybe he was there and we just didn't get to see any pictures or clips from it, but he wasn't there. And then also, you've had Lattimore dealing with nagging injuries. That hamstring was killing him last year. Though after we traded for him, he barely played in any games, and then when he did play, he clearly was never 100% himself. So the reason I'm including him in the injury part of this video is because he looks good right now. He looks fully healthy, man, and I'm really excited to see that, man. When we get to the cornerback part of this video, you'll see the clips of him running around, and there's no level of hesitation or being apprehensive about a potential injury, nothing. He's not holding back. He's going 100%, and even Dan Quinn said in his press conference before the practice that they're going to throw everything at him, and he's 100% participant. They're not taking it slow. He's not a limited participant, full-blown 100% Marshon Lattimore. This is probably the healthiest we've seen Marshon Lattimore since we traded for him. Like, literally. I don't think he was ever anywhere near 100% last year. You can see it, and then in the clips I'm gonna show y'all when we get to the cornerback part of this video, you'll agree. And then also, cornerback Marshon Lattimore and Laramie Tunsil, of course, attended minicamp yesterday, the first day of mandatory minicamps. They both skipped OTAs, but I do want to emphasize the fact that they have always skipped voluntary OTAs with their previous teams. Laramie Tunsil on the Texans, Marshon Lattimore and the Saints, always skipping voluntary OTA. So this was never really a contract thing. We can speculate about the fact that maybe it was at one point, but it's clear to see that they just don't do that. That's just not their bag. They don't get down like that. They don't go to voluntary practices. They'll pull up when it's mandatory. Other than that, they're going to chill and do their own thing, do their own workouts elsewhere or whatever. And then shouts out to Marshon Lattimore and Laramie Tunsil for coming in and being fully ready to go, physically ready, and conditioned and all of that. Because Joe Wood Jr. even, I mean, he didn't necessarily sound irritated, but he said something to the extent of, okay, Marshon Lattimore wants to miss these practices. We'll see if he comes in here in shape by the time he does pull up. We'll see where he's at to see like if he was just BSing around when he was out doing his own thing rather than pulling up and practicing with us phases 1 through 3 of voluntary OTAs. Well, apparently he pulled up and looked really good. No complaints. Didn't give the coaches any room to be disgruntled with them in any way, to complain about him. He came in fully prepared. That's a seasoned veteran for you right there. But again, I just want to emphasize the fact that that's just something that Tunsil and Lattimore do. Expect this next year. We get the voluntary OTAs. Expect Tunsil nor Lattimore to be at those practices. Now, granted, maybe they once they get, you know, fully ingratiated into the culture or whatever, and they just feel like it's important to be there, like everybody else does, like Bobby Wagner, like Zach Ertz, like Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin. If he weren't under a contract dispute, he would be there. Maybe coming from those different coaches, they don't have that in them yet. Maybe spending an entire year or more here, maybe they'll have that by next year. But again, just go ahead and heads up, they're more than likely going to miss those practices again next year. And then also moving on, coaches wise, shouts out to Tyler Dunn. He did an article on Cliff Kingsbury. He said the coach at Texas Tech who get at the facility at 3:30 a.m. has a second chance with the Commanders, and he should be a head coach again. On Cliff Kingsbury and why there's always more than what meets the eye. So there's a whole article written by a non-Commanders fan nor Commanders reporter taking a look at what Cliff Kingsbury did last year with the Commanders, and with, you know, how the whole narrative with him was there's no way he should get another head coaching job after what he did in Arizona. But now after just 1 year with the Commanders, people are starting to completely flip that narrative and feeling like, hey, he actually should be considered for a head coach again. You saw him getting interviews. I mean, he was the hottest name out there other than Ben Johnson. This next coaching cycle in like another 8 to 10 months, he's probably going to be the hottest name for a potential head coaching job. And shouts out to DC Sports Dre. He said, I love this for Cliff. Still amazed at how fast he changed his own narrative. It was only a year. Folks called the initial hire of him to Washington failing up and all kinds of sarcastic quips and things. It was crazy. People were looking at us crazy for hiring him as an offensive coordinator. Now, a year later, people want him as a head coach. Like, that is insane. So shouts out to Cliff Kingsbury for that. And then also, the Commanders went ahead and released the full mandatory minicamp schedule. Yesterday, Tuesday, June 10th, was the first mandatory minicamp practice. And again, all of the clips and the analysis that you're going to get in this video is from that practice. I know this is coming out early June 11th, but this is from what happened June 10th. In practice that's available to the media to see is 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Of course, they practice longer than that, but during that time, that's when the media is watching, so they're probably running everything extremely vanilla and trying to make sure that nothing gets out to other teams that are potentially spying on us. So that 1 to 2:30 p.m. is going to be as vanilla and plain as an offense and defense as you can possibly throw out there, but it's still fun to get whatever clips that we could get because, of course, people like me are going to do videos like this where we break everything down. And, of course, Dan Quinn spoke to the media. Then, today, later on today, Wednesday, June 11th, they'll practice from 1 to 2:30 p.m. That will be available for the media to see. Dan Quinn will speak again. And then June 12th, Thursday, it will be 11:20 a.m. to 12 p.m. So a shorter amount of time that will be available to the media. And head coach Dan Quinn will speak once again. So it seems like Dan Quinn is speaking after every mandatory minicamp practice, before, after, whatever. It's only him. We're not splitting it up. Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and Joe Wood Jr. It's Dan Quinn the whole way. Now moving on to the quarterbacks. And I did say quarterbacks plural for a reason, because we do have a Marcus Mariota update. Apparently, he was looking really good at practice today. But starting with Jayden Daniels. It is just always good to watch Jayden Daniels practice, man. I mean, it's just a random 50-second clip uploaded by Scott Abraham of Scott 7 News, and it's just Jayden Daniels receiving snaps and throwing the ball. And I mean, some of these throws are going to Deebo Samuel, which we love to see. I'm gonna show y'all some really good throws to Deebo Samuel a little later, but I just like the fact that he's just getting these reps. Any clips of Jayden Daniels that I can get, I'm gonna watch them myself, and I feel like, hey, y'all want to see it too? I'm gonna show y'all. So hey, we're going down all of these Jayden Daniels clips, because this is not the only set of clips. You even saw him do like a little jig, a little dance after that throw right there. He's always having fun. I like that, man. It's always funny though. His helmet always looks so big for his body. He's over there dapping up the offensive line. You know what I'm saying? It looks like they're about to move on to another drill. He tried to one-hand catch a ball. He wasn't able to do it. Then he shoots it like a basketball, man. That's what's up, man. Then moving on. Now we have some throws of Jayden Daniels straight to Deebo Samuel. He snapped the ball, and this is going straight to Deebo. And it wasn't like the most accurate pass, but Deebo caught it like it was glue in his hands, like it was a magnet in the ball in his hands, and just secured it so quickly. And you didn't even get the chance to blink by the time he snapped it and brought it down. Then you have a pass to my dog, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Then you have Jayden Daniels going through some footwork drills. I like that. Again, some more personality from Jayden Daniels. I don't know if that was like a first down indication or something like that. I don't know what's going on there. Then it's another drill. Somebody's in the way, but we don't care. Still throwing the ball, man. I mean, even if you don't see who he's throwing the ball to, just the throwing motion itself looks really nice, man. So I'm going to take any Jayden Daniels clip I'm going to get, and again, I'm going to show y'all that. And then you have this amazing play right here. This is the play that the Commanders social media team uploaded themselves, and this looks like, at the very least, this is like 7-on-7, not 11-on-11s, but you have a Jayden Daniels dot scanning the field, then coming back to look at Deebo Samuel, and not the most accurate pass, but puts it to where really Jeremy Reeves has no shot, and then Deebo Samuel does a great job of reaching out to get that ball, which is beautiful, mostly on the Deebo Samuel side, because to see Deebo Samuel out there looking like a seasoned veteran, but also a really good wide receiver. Look at the hands, man. We know what Deebo Samuel can do with the ball after it's already in his hands, but his ability to go and pluck the ball out of the air like that, hey, man, I'm telling you, a different level of seasons heating up for Deebo Samuel. And then lastly, before we move on from the quarterbacks to the running backs, because we have some stuff to talk about with these running backs now. Lake Lewis Jr. was at the practice, and he said that Marcus Mariota looked really sharp to start minicamp, man. He made a couple of really nice throws already. That's the best backup quarterback in the NFL. I know it's crazy because just this time last year, I was still questioning the signing. I mean, but then you gotta think about it, because this is coming from the point of view of a guy that is from Atlanta, lives in Atlanta. Most of my friends are Falcons fans, and the way that they complain about him, me as a Falcons hater, me loving what he was doing to sabotage that team once we signed him. Of course, I had a very low opinion of him to start, but he has turned it completely around. Just like how Cliff Kingsbury completely flipped his narrative in one season, Marcus Mariota did the same thing, and I'm happy to hear that he's continuing on that trajectory. Very, very good backup. Hopefully, there's never a situation where he ever has to step into the game unless we're just blowing teams out 50-0 or something like that. Other than than that, I don't really want to see him, but I love the fact that we have a back there just in case. Now moving on to the running backs. Here the running backs going through drills. Brian Robinson is the one that starts it off, so he's clearly technically RB1 right now. He's the leader of the group, but I just like seeing the fact that some of these guys are going through like these one cut drills, you know what I'm saying? You're running one way and they get you to cut the other way. So I kind of like that, just, getting down to the basics, things that, maybe you overthink it when you're actually in real live game action. If we just rehearse it over and over again. And Austin Ekeler's looked a little bit more explosive than Brian Robinson. I'm not going to lie. But shouts out to Brian Robinson, though. He's clearly RB1 with the fact that he did it first, but Ekeler's right behind him. You have Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt right there watching, waiting his turn, even though you don't see it on this go. But then you have this clip right here. And look at that man right there, man. Look at my dog, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill, man. That cut, shouts out to Mitch Tischler for putting that in slow motion. The cut is insane. Look at how his body is angled from the ground. He didn't fall over. Everybody watching this video, including me making this video, would have fallen over at a certain point when our body is contorting like that, man. At least the vast majority of us. I don't think a lot of us could have survived that angle off the ground like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt did, man. He brings another level of explosion and agility that nobody else in this running back group brings. I'm not even sure if Brian Robinson and Austin Ekeler stay on their feet with the way that he had his body angled. And then there were reports from all sorts of reporters out there that were saying that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has impressed so far with his speed, footwork, and vision to start the mandatory minicamp practice session, man. Man, shouts out to that. I'm so happy to hear that. And shouts out to Josh Taylor, brings up a good point. He said this is probably the best part of his game and what separates him from the rest of the running back room. His footwork, his cuts, and his vision to get upfield. Nobody else on this roster can do what he does in that department. And then at some point in practice, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt showed off that speed that we're talking about on an all outside zone run that he took to the house for 60 yards. Outside zone? That was my first thought. When I heard outside zone, I was like, wait, we couldn't even run that play last year. That was a play that Cliff Kingsbury couldn't even call with the running backs that we had on our roster. The lack of explosion we had in our running back room last year, man. We didn't have anywhere near the speed on our roster to even think about running that play last year. So Ja'Cory may play sooner than we think just because of the fact that he has a niche already for this running back room, the things that nobody else can do. Like there's specific packages and plays that only he can run out of this entire running back group already as a 7th round rookie. I know he's technically a 7th round pick, and of course we need to damper our expectations. We shouldn't put our hopes too high for this guy. But again, he had no business going after the 3rd round in my personal opinion. He was not a 7th round talent at all. He just had to deal with some crazy circumstances. And also, you can't deny talent. It doesn't matter where he was drafted once he's on the team. It doesn't matter where anybody's drafted. We're all on the same team at the same time, and there's clearly some real talent right there. You can't deny the talent. His draft round that he was taken does not determine how talented and how successful he'll be at the NFL level. I mean, just to be able to beat the defense outside and sprint up the sideline, I mean, that is some speed that probably nobody else in our running back room has right now. That was incredible. And then also shouts out to DC Sports Experience, because I agree. He said, while it's only OTAs, this observation is an important one. We never understood why people kept saying JCM isn't fast. He's a very deceptive runner with exceptional bursts out of cuts and has very adequate speed. Just in case, go check out that New Mexico tape. I don't know. I honestly have no idea why people don't think he's fast, man. Shouts out to Bleeding Burgundy and Gold. I agree. He said if JCM shows home run ability, give him the starting job now. I don't care. I don't care. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm with you. You know, we work on that pass protection. We could be working with something, man. And again, I love the fact that I'm already seeing Jayden Daniels throw passes to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, man. I need more of that all of the time. We need to spam that. Nothing else. You know, he's already got enough chemistry with the other wide receivers. Let's get Ja'Cory as many targets as possible throughout this offseason, man. And then, again, shouts out to Mike Hall over there from the Burgundy Zone. I completely agree, man. I mean, the quicker we can get him up on game as far as pass protection, I think the quicker he'll be on the field getting meaningful reps, man. Because right now, I'm not entirely sure if they trust him to pass protect for Jayden Daniels on a 3rd and long play. So that's a situation he can't necessarily be on the field yet. I think he could, but I'm pretty sure he has to go out there and prove it to the coaching staff before they trust him to go out there and protect your most important player on the entire team, your franchise quarterback, your top 5 quarterback already after just 1 season. So once JCM can prove to this coaching staff, Cliff Kingsbury especially, that he can pass protect, and he can go out there and run some routes and catch the ball as well, he's going to be on the field a lot early and often. And then also Brian Robinson as well. We have some updates for him too. This is, of course, a big season coming up for him. This is the final year of his rookie contract right now. Right now, there's no running back on this entire roster that signed beyond this 2025 season other than 7th round rookie Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt. Austin Eckler, Michael Wiley, all of those other guys, Christian Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, all of those guys are on their last years of their deals, technically on 1-year prove-it deals right now for the most of them. So Brian Robinson included, this is a big year for him to go out there and prove what he needs to do. And he said in a press conference after practice, he said, quote, "I'm excited to continue along here and show why I'm here and supposed to be here," unquote. I'm rooting for you. The reason I'm super excited about Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt because he brings something to the table no other running back in this current room right now brings outside of him. Something that we really needed last year, but that doesn't mean I'm not rooting for Brian Robinson to potentially have some sort of like a breakout season this year. That would be amazing. The offensive line is going to be way better this year than it was last year. Arguably the best offensive line we put together from one end to the other as a complete 5-person unit since probably the Hogs days. So I'm really excited, and I think Brian Robinson can flourish in those circumstances, in that environment. He also said, quote, "The biggest thing for me is just being available," unquote. And that is huge because he's fairly productive like the first 8 games, but after that, he gets banged up and then he's just barely out there playing much. And then moving on to the wide receivers, Disco brings up a good point. He said Terry McLaurin's absence is better news for young guys like Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey. This is really like a glass half full way of looking at it, where, of course you prefer Terry to be there overall, but the fact that he's not there means that other guys, especially the younger guys, are getting more reps and targets, and it's going to increase their development. They're going to be able to develop a little bit quicker, and man, some guys definitely took advantage of it. Luke McCaffrey was one of those guys today, man. He had a really nice catch and run for a touchdown from Jayden Daniels. Looks like, hey, man, maybe Luke McCaffrey breakout season. He had a really good day in practice. At a certain point, he already had 3 catches, and one of them was for a touchdown, man. He was hooping today. Him and Jayden Daniels had some sort of a chemistry going there, and hey, was this the Wes Welker effect? Luke already showing promise more this year than he did at any point last year, just a few weeks into the Wes Welker hire. You know what I'm saying? I'm slightly trolling, but there may be some real to that. Because like I've said before, man, when we first hired Wes Welker, Luke McCaffrey isn't short on any athleticism. He's more athletic than Christian McCaffrey. When you put their athleticism and measurables in the relative athletic score calculator, when you put them both as running backs, he's more athletic, he has a higher score. And when you put them both as receivers, he has the highest score. So the athleticism, he's not lacking in that department in any way at all. He just needs all of the nuance and technical refinement. Remember when we first drafted him last year, he had only just moved to wide receiver like a year or 2 before. So he's still pretty raw to the position just in general. A lot of these receivers, by the time they get to the NFL, they've been doing it since middle school, high school, college, and NFL. This guy was playing it for a year or 2 before he got to the NFL. So this is technically like going into his 4th year, just the beginning of his 4th year at most, ever playing wide receiver. So, of course, he's lacking some nuance and technical refinement, and Wes Welker is the perfect guy to give it to him because he's a guy that has zero, even in his prime, zero athleticism, and made a mark in the NFL by doing all of the nuance and technical stuff at an elite level. And all of that type of stuff is coachable, comes with experience, time, and work ethic if Luke McCaffrey's ready to put in the work. And Luke already has all of the things you can't teach, like athleticism. Wes Welker was brought here to help him get all of the other stuff that you can teach. And maybe his teaching is already starting to take an effect with the fact that he had, I would say, the most impressive practice he's had since we drafted him last year. And then there's also another side of this where maybe Jayden Daniels is just doing a better job of seeing him and getting him the ball. I feel like it's far more on Luke's end, but additional chemistry with your elite starting quarterback couldn't hurt. So maybe there's some of that as well. And then also shouts out to DC Sports Dre. I agree. He said encouraging to hear Luke doing well. Keep stacking days like that. I'd agree. Just keep putting another day, another day, another day, another day. Remember, Joe Wood Jr. said last week that Quan Martin started terribly for them when they first got here last year. They actually had to move him down the depth chart. Then he put together several good practices in a row, and then he turned it, and then they gave him the honors. They rewarded him with being a starter, and then he more than proved them right throughout the entire season. So same thing potentially with Luke McCaffrey going in that trajectory. We'll see. DC Sports Dre also said, thing I'm really looking forward to this year is how the young guys develop under this regime. We really get to highlight that this year. I agree. We have a lot of second year guys and a lot of rookies. Can't wait to see where they're at as this season continues, like regular and postseason. But also, it's not even just the young guys that are still trying to find their way in the NFL. How about a seasoned veteran that has no prior chemistry with Jayden Daniels until just a couple of weeks ago? Deebo Samuel is taking full advantage of the extra reps and targets with Terry not around. He's looking like wide receiver 1 out there too, like I already showed y'all in the clips earlier. So imagine when Terry gets back, because Jayden clearly already has chemistry with Terry. We know that. We saw this season that Terry put up last year, setting the franchise record for touchdown receptions. So when Terry finally gets paid and returns, then the Terry and Deebo duo will just be that much better in full in effect, because now both of them have chemistry with Jayden Daniels already. So honestly, Terry not being there may actually expedite Deebo's familiarity with Cliff Kingsbury's offense and Jayden Daniels, to the point that we may go out there week 1 versus the Giants and it looks like Deebo's been there at least since last year potentially. Like he's been here since the 2024 season. That's what I'm looking forward to, man. And so then now you have a couple of more clips of Deebo Samuel going out there and doing some things. And as you saw in like the clips earlier, I mean, he had some nice grabs from Jayden Daniels today, specifically one where he was like right around the sideline. He had to extend for it, and then he came down with both feet in bounds. I mean, he's showing a lot of nuanced wide receiver stuff. You know, a lot of people, even when we traded for him, some people were down on the fact that, well, is he even technically a wide receiver 2? He's a weapon 2, but is he a wide receiver 2? How technically refined is he? Hey, it sounds like we're seeing some more technical refinement than he really ever displayed for the 49ers. He was more so just a raw, explosive talent that just refused to be tackled. It sounds like he's more of a pure receiver going into this season. So I'm excited, man. And again, the touchdown that he got in those goal line drills, like I showed y'all earlier, I mean, even the D-line, though, they were trying to hate. They were saying that the play would have been dead. Technically, Jayden Daniels would have been sacked or something like that. So they were trying to hate on the play and say that it would have never have happened in a real game scenario. But again, to see Deebo Samuel making those type of catches where he's reaching out beyond his body, amazing. And then also shouts out to George Carmi, because I completely agree. He said Deebo fits Cliff Kingsbury's offense like a glove. Critics think he's going to have a down year. They are sadly mistaken. I completely agree. And then lastly, before we move on to the wide receiver, from the wide receivers to the tight ends, Zach Selby pointed out the fact that Chris Moore just had the catch of the day at a certain point in the practice. He hauled in a deep shot from Mariota with Reeves in coverage. Hey, so shouts out to Chris Moore trying to make a name for himself. Like I've already told y'all, Terry, Deebo, Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, your 5 locks at the wide receiver position. If we only keep 6, that means there's only 1 spot available for Michael Gallup, KJ Osborne, and Ja'Cory Brooks, who I really like. But now you also even have a guy like Chris Moore making plays. This wide receiver competition is very serious going into training camp, and I'm excited because that's always a good thing. This is arguably the deepest wide receiver group we've had in a long time, so I'm super excited. Now moving on to the tight end room. And Ben Sinnott apparently had a really good day, especially when he caught a touchdown pass from Marcus Mariota during 7-on-7s. Nigga Javali even tweeted about it, saying, at the risk of fueling the offseason overreaction nonsense. And then she talked about how Ben Sinnott had a really nice touchdown catch from Mariota, man. Hey, so she's basically warning you, don't get overhyped. But hey, Ben Sinnott's looking pretty good right now, man. And so it was like at the end of a period, like right before they were ready to transition into something else, Mariota rolled out of the pocket and hit Ben Sinnott on the run in the end zone over the shoulder. So great throw by Marcus Mariota, and also a great catch by Ben Sinnott. And shouts out to Mark Bullock, because before the practice at 8 a.m. he tweeted, tight end Ben Sinnott didn't have the rookie year he would have liked, but it's still far too early to write him off as a bust. Broke down his rookie year and where he stands entering his second season, so make sure you go check that out. Subscribe to his Substack because I feel like that's going to be a great article. I haven't checked it out yet, to be honest, but Mark Bullock does elite work on the film breakdowns and all 22 studies and things like that, and I just thought it was interesting that he tweeted that before the practice, and then Ben Sinnott went out there and made a great touchdown catch, so that was pretty cool. And then also, Tyree Jackson apparently is making some noise as well. Zach Selby tweeted, Tyree Jackson could be an interesting player to watch during training camp. He just ended 7-on-7s with a catch from Marcus Mariota, and he is 6'7", 249 pounds, so if he can earn a spot, he would be a massive target. And mind you, he's basically this year's Armani Rogers or Sammis Reyes. When we're talking about an elite athlete that's still relatively new to the position, because just like Armani Rogers, he's transitioning from quarterback. Sammis Reyes was different. He just never played football before in his life. He came from a different country, somewhere in South America. I can't remember exactly where, Chile, one of those places somewhere, but he was just new to football, period. Armani Rogers and Tyree Jackson were quarterbacks, got to the NFL level and realized, I'm not a good enough quarterback for it to matter. Let me transition to another position. But hey, I just so happen to be an elite athlete. Tyree Jackson's like a 9-point something relative athletic score when you put all his measurables in there. Even when you change it from quarterback to tight end, he's still an elite athlete. So I think that's an interesting guy to watch throughout training camp. You know I love my super high ceiling guys that, hey, if they just get the right opportunities, if they have the right work ethic behind them, maybe this could turn into something special. I mean, one of the guys that I was really right about that with was Jordan Mailata. If you go back to that season, that year, the draft before Jordan Mailata went to the Eagles, you know, that whole offseason, I kept mocking him to us and was like, I'll take him in the 6th round. I wouldn't even risk waiting until the 7th round or in the draft free agent, and he balled out. Not every elite athlete works out, but I don't know. I don't have the same feeling of Tyree Jackson like I had with Jordan Mailata, but I'm just letting you know, these elite athletes, you know, I always have my eye on them. I mean, I was the one that was first on Tyler Owens. That's my dog. I'm really rooting for him to ball out. And now offensive line wise, now granted, I already did an entire video showing y'all and breaking down Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore pulling up to practice finally. Terry missing practice, Bobby Wagner missing practice, and Brandon Coleman, Dan Quinn officially confirming that Brandon Coleman's moving to guard. So we're not going to like do super dives into that in this video because I still want to get through all of the position groups, and we haven't even gotten to the defense yet. I'm already 32 minutes into this recording, but I did want to point out the fact that Laramie Tunsil was at practice today. As you can see, he was out there talking to Bobby Johnson. And then also, I mean, if you look at this picture right here, his sheer size next to Chris Paul, who's already a really big human being as well, Laramie Tunsil looks even bigger than him. And then as you see him going through drills, I don't see any out of shapeness at all, man. He looks ready to go. The footwork looks crisp. His punch looks good and powerful. He's ready to go, man. He looks in shape to me. So shouts out to Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore, like I mentioned earlier. The fact that they missed all of those voluntary OTA practices and then they pulled up still in shape and condition just like the other Commanders players. Hey, strong veteran moves right there. Because if they would have pulled up and they were out of shape, it would have looked crazy. But they didn't. So shouts out to them. And then here's Laramie Tunsil going through some more drills. I just think it's cool that his initials are LT. So it's like Laramie Tunsil, the left tackle. LT to LT, like NBC4 Sports pointed out. It's just him going through some warm-ups real quick, stretching, doing some footwork stuff. Again, the footwork looks really crisp. I mean, even if I tried to do that, and I don't weigh anywhere near as much as him, if I tried to do that, I probably wouldn't look as smooth doing it. I'm not gonna lie. And then also, I want to show y'all again, just him going through some more drills, and just look at how big he is compared to not only other human beings, but other offensive linemen. Like, these are other offensive linemen. He's taller, he's wider, he's bigger. It's just amazing that somebody that huge is a pass rush specialist, one of the top 5 best pass blocking tackles in the NFL at that size. So you know the strength is there to run block, but he just definitely focuses his skill set on being an elite pass protector. I'm not worried about him being a liability in the run blocking, but pass protection is clearly his strong suit. And again, it's just ridiculous how much he towers people around him. I mean, you see him walking around with this coach, and I mean, it looks like he may weigh almost twice as much as that coach, and for him to have the footwork that he has is insane. And even though these are just him, walking around and talking to offensive lines coach Bobby Johnson. I like seeing in this upcoming moment right here where Bobby Johnson's kind of showing him what he wants with certain things. Granted, this is Laremy Tunsil's first time pulling up to the Commanders facilities to practice, so now he's finally getting like some true coaching from Bobby Johnson. Bobby Johnson's probably telling him, this is how we want to do certain things. This is how we do things here. I know you're elite at this, so we're not going to try to change up too much of what you already do, but we kind of want you to do certain things like this, and this is how this offensive line is going to work together as a cohesive unit, and a cohesive offensive line is the best offensive line in football. You can have 5 Pro Bowlers all up and down that offensive line, but if there's no chemistry, they're going to allow a lot of sacks. They're not going to perform well. But if that cohesion, that chemistry and communication is perfect, they're going to be good to go. And then, of course, we can't forget first round pick, rookie right tackle, Josh Connolly. It's just a quick little 3-second clip, but it's him going through drills as well. And if there's a Josh Connolly clip out there, well, I will show y'all no matter how short the clip is every single time. But shouts out to Dan Quinn. He went on the Green Light podcast technically yesterday, June 10th. And he already confirmed in his press conference, but then he went on that show and also confirmed that, yes, Brandon Coleman will basically be the starting left guard this season. So you're starting offensive line, like I warned y'all months ago when I told y'all that, hey, watch out, we may end up drafting Josh Connolly in the first round. I already warned y'all. Laremy Tunsil left tackle, Brandon Coleman left guard, center Tyler Biadasz, right guard Samuel Cosmi when healthy. We'll see who ends up starting at right guard until Samuel Cosmi is healthy. I would assume maybe Nick Allegretti, but I think I'd probably even prefer Andrew Wiley, to be honest with you, even though he's played tackle for us for the past couple of years. And then you have Josh Connolly Jr. as your starting right tackle. That is a top 10, maybe even top 5 offensive line in the NFL this year. I firmly believe that. But of course, the strategy here is just to make sure you put your 5 best offensive linemen on the field every time that you can. So when everybody's healthy, you already know who your 5 best offensive linemen are, and then from there you pick who's tackle, guard, center, whatever. But don't just go in with, okay, well, we have 3 really good tackles, so we're going to play 2 of them. One of them are going to be a backup, and then we're going to just have an okay guard. No, you put your 5 best offensive linemen, and those are your 5 best offensive linemen. Everybody healthy, forget positions, just go positionless. It's Tunsil, Coleman, Biadasz, Cosmi, Connolly. Plain and simple. After that, you figure out where everybody fits, and we're just lucky that everybody just so happens to fit very well amongst each other in the exact positions that I feel like is going to get the most out of them. Again, I think Brandon Coleman is going to be a Pro Bowl, maybe even potentially an All-Pro left guard. And you already know Tunsil, you already know Tyler Biadasz, you already know Samuel Cosmi. All 3 of those guys are already Pro Bowlers. And then Connolly, y'all already know I'm really high on him. He erased Abdul Carter out of a game. So the Giants spent the 3rd overall pick on an edge rusher. We spent a 29th overall pick on the guy that completely erased him out of a game and made him look silly. Made him look like he wasn't even worthy of a first-round pick. And then also, speaking of Dan Quinn, apparently Dan Quinn participated in scout team drills on the defensive line. And of course, that's just like some coaching stuff that I'm pretty sure maybe he was helping the offensive line with something, whatever they were doing. But out of the way, you got to remember, he did that. Dan Quinn used to do that, man. Number 99, Salisbury, all of that, man. Shouts out to him, man. It's just so cool that he just so happened to also wear the same colors that the Commanders and the Redskins back then used to wear. That's really cool, man. Don't forget, Dan Quinn does that defensive line stuff now. And then defensive line-wise, I don't have any major updates specifically from practice, but Javon Kinlaw spoke to the media after practice and said that he feels like he always has something to prove and that working with Daryl Tapp again means a lot to him. And I loved both of those parts of that quote, man. First of all, the fact that he always feels like he has something to prove. The athleticism is elite. There's only a handful of human beings built like him that can move like him, period, on earth, let alone defensive linemen. So the potential, the ceiling, the talent is all there with the guy that has something to prove, and then the coaching staff that's around him, all of the geniuses we have in this defensive side of the coaching staff, and then he's reuniting with Daryl Tapp, and he's appreciative of that. That's probably one of the main reasons he wanted to come here, reuniting with Adam Peters and Daryl Tapp. I'm really excited. He's going to go out there and give it his all. And then linebacker-wise, again, nothing really to update y'all, but I already gave y'all that warning before the intro. Really, the only update is the fact that Bobby Wagner wasn't there, but again, it was for potentially a really good reason, and he will be there at practice tomorrow/today, Wednesday, June 11th, so you don't have to worry about it. Then moving on to the corners, of course, Marshawn Lattimore pulled back up, and again, he was dealing with hamstring injuries all last season, and it's beautiful to hear that he was a full participant in practice at mandatory minicamp practice, and that Dan Quinn is that they're monitoring him. They're like, okay, if something happens, we'll adjust if necessary, but as of right now, no need to adjust. We're throwing everything at him. He's ready to go. And you can even see in this clip right here where he's doing a tip drill, and I mean, the way he bounced off of the ground, it doesn't look like he's concerned about potentially re-injuring or making a nagging injury any worse or anything like that, like he kind of was last year. He was playing a little timid, he was moving a little timid. Now it looks like he's ready to go and let loose, so I'm super happy about that. And then even in this clip as well, the one that's been going more viral, look at Marshawn Lattimore versus Trey Amos, the rookie, man. Now remember, Lattimore switched his number to 2, back to what he used to wear at Ohio State. So Lattimore is the receiver technically on this drill. And look how explosive, quick, agile, and fast these guys look together, man. That is a beautiful clip, man. I mean, you're looking at that clip like, what hamstring injury? You know what I'm saying? Last year, I'm not sure Marshawn Lattimore ever moved like that. And then here's another angle of it right here. Yeah, them boys is ready, man. Them boys is ready, man. I love that, man. Look at that acceleration, that burst he got on that like second move, man. That was amazing, man. That boy Marshawn Lattimore ready. But also, while watching that clip, looking for Marshawn Lattimore, and now granted, he does look the healthiest and quickest and fastest I've ever seen him since we traded for him. But also, look at the rookie. That boy Trey Amos said, you not about to come here and steal away my cornerback 1 status just because you're a little older. Remember, since Marshawn Lattimore has not been present for voluntary OTAs, it's been reported from several people that apparently Trey Amos has been our cornerback 1, which is interesting because Josh Connolly has had to work his way up to starting right tackle. It was Andrew Wiley getting starting right tackle reps for him. Remember last year, Jayden Daniels had to earn the starting quarterback job over Marcus Mariota. It's pretty interesting to me that, I mean, I know Marshawn Lattimore wasn't there, but Sanford still can play outside. Jonathan Jones was a starting corner for the Patriots last year. We just signed him here, and I prefer him in the slot. But he can play outside as well, so I'm surprised they just went ahead and let Trey Amos go ahead and start at outside corner before Marshawn Lattimore got there. Now with Lattimore here, I'm curious to see if Trey Amos is still the starting outside corner, and then Sanford still just goes into the slot, which is the ultimate goal. Lattimore outside, Amos outside, Sanford still inside, lock-up cornerback group. One of the best trios of corners, I think, in the NFL, honestly. I would probably put them already top 10 as a trio, especially if Trey Amos becomes who I think he'll be. And I mean, look at this picture from Marshawn Lattimore, man. Look at him showing out, man. I mean, imagine this defense with a healthy Pro Bowl level version of Lattimore, man. How different this team is going to be compared to last year, especially defensively, man. That's going to be insane. And you added Trey Amos? Come on, man. This is going to be crazy. And again, I don't have any major updates for the safety room. So just moving on to special teams. It's not even necessarily a special teams update, but Tressway, our starting punter, of course, had an interesting press conference after practice. He said a lot of the continuity with the Commanders coaching staff and roster for the upcoming season is really important. He said, quote, if you're a competitive dude, it's no wonder why you would want to stay here and come back here. It's a huge breath of fresh air, unquote. So everybody loves the competitive atmosphere, the environment that they're in. And that's one of the main reasons that a lot of people wanted to run it back, whether it be players on the roster, coaches in the coaching staff, front office guys. A lot of people had opportunities to go elsewhere, and Tressway basically just told you why. We felt like, first of all, we had a good chance of going to the Super Bowl and maybe even winning it. It was just tough to be that close and not get there. And then also on top of that, the environment is so great. The culture is so great, actually, for real, finally this time, that people just naturally want to be around the burgundy and gold. And I love that. Once people get a taste of it, they want to come back. Remember, Zach Ertz really wanted to come back. I was so happy when they finally re-signed him earlier this offseason because he showed y'all that he really wanted to come back. Now, before we dip up out of here, I have a few observations made by some other people that, you know, they put their thoughts on Twitter. Like you have Nell BTP of the Team 980. He said his top takeaways from day one of mandatory minicamp: Jordan McGee, stock up. Love to hear that. Ben Sinnott, stock up. I told you he already caught that pass from Marcus Mariota. Jonathan Jones, stock up. That's going to be elite cornerback depth right there. That's a backup corner. And his stock's up. Chris Moore, again, he made that play that we talked about earlier. Watch out, competing for that 6th, or maybe they have a 7th wide receiver spot. We'll see. And then Mike Sanders still stock up as well is insane because he was already ridiculous last year. If he's getting better, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It's hunting season for a lot of these teams out here on our schedule, man. Then also you have Denton Day on Twitter. He said his day 1 mini camp in the books, 60-ish second recap of day 1, and he has a whole 1 minute and 18-second clip breaking it down if you want to go check him out at the Denton Day. Same thing with Nail BTP. It was on the Team 980's Twitter account where he put his 2 minute and 18-second breakdown. But Denton said Tunsil looks great. Connolly is already getting right tackle reps with the ones. That's huge. And Chris Moore stands out in the absence of Terry McLaurin. Hey, that's multiple people talking about Chris Moore now. That's Zach Selby, that's Nell BTP, and Denton Day. And then you also have Dula Vision. He said 5 skilled players that impressed me today. Still, because linemen can't hit, so that's why he's only paying attention to the skilled players right now. He said Deebo, fluid and all over the field. Love to hear that. Jonathan Jones, the most underrated pickup of the offseason. So that's 2 Jonathan Jones vouchers right there. Like, hey, that guy looking good. JCM, fast. Oh, I love to hear that. Ben Sinnott caught a couple of deep routes, looked very athletic. Whoo! I told y'all, man, we talked on the Commanders Kings. If you had one player that could just, especially like that was like a rookie last year, they could have a breakout season this year and be way better than they were the year before, my pick was Ben Sinnott. If Ben Sinnott can turn into like a top 5, top 7 tight end, this offense is going to literally score 40 points a game. So I love to hear that. And then also another really important piece, my defensive pick, Jordan McGee, man. He said his impressive speed at his size. I'm telling you right now, Joey Jr. even said it last week, a few days ago or something like that, that they literally had packages and defensive play calls centered around Jordan McGee. So when he was hurt a lot last season, that really hurt our defense. And you got to remember, this was the most athletic linebacker coming out of his draft class last year out of that 2024 draft. So him being healthy, this defense is going to look completely different with him. People are going to forget that, like, you know, he was a rookie from 2024 and a draft pick. 5th round draft pick at that. So when he's out there balling out for us potentially this season, people are going to be like, where did this guy come from? Did we sign him as a free agent? Like, who is this? You got to remember, he was a rookie that just didn't play much last year. He flashed when he did, though. You know, you should already know about Jordan McGee's talent from the time that he was healthy last year, but granted, he just didn't get to play a lot. And then also shouts out to Brian Manning of Commanders Wire. He did his 6 takeaways from day 1 of Commanders Mandatory Minicamp. He said Lattimore looks 100% like we talked about, and that's really important because, I mean, like, he just didn't last year at any point. That's huge news. Then he also said Zach Ertz remains a favorite target for Jayden Daniels. I love to hear that, man, because we're hearing all of these notifications and opinions and updates about, like, okay, this guy's hooping. Luke McCaffrey had a really good day. Chris Moore making plays. Ben Sinnott looks really good. But at the end of the day, Zach Ertz is still target number 1, especially with Terry McLaurin now. He even said in the article, while Terry McLaurin skipped OTAs to focus on his contract, it was the perfect time for Jayden Daniels to get acquainted with his new target. Daniels has used multiple practice sessions to get comfortable with Deebo Samuel, and the duo looks to be off to a fast start. But Daniels' favorite target still remains to be veteran tight end Zach Ertz, though. If Ertz and Daniels are healthy in 2025, expect Ertz to put up even better numbers than he did last year. A couple of other observations, we've already talked about these. A big day for Luke McCaffrey, that's big time. The Commanders are high on Brandon Coleman, that's big time. And Laramie Tunsil looks the part. I love hearing all of those things, but I feel like the Zach Ertz one was the most important because that was the only one that was different from anything else that everybody else said and observed from the practice. I mean, I guess people just haven't really talked about Zach Ertz this offseason because it's kind of like new day, same thing. We just kind of expect that out of him. You know, you're probably usually not going to get a lot of Bobby Wagner updates from these practices as well because it's kind of like we expect that. But don't forget, while everybody's excited about Luke McCaffrey having a good day, even my boy Ja'Cory Cross-Cameron having a great day, Ben Sinnott, all of these younger guys, okay, they're getting better. Stop all of that noise. Zach Ertz still the primary target to Jayden Daniels right now. Deebo Samuel getting better, looking like more of a pure receiver, out here making catches away from his body, which is something he didn't do a lot for the 49ers. So he already looks better receiver-wise from like a nuance and technical standpoint that I'm used to seeing him even when he was great for the 49ers. But at the end of the day, Zach Ertz is still Jayden Daniels' favorite target. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about everything discussed in this video. How do you feel about every position group that we talked about? Which part of this video are you the most excited about? JCM, Bills, being one of the probably already the fastest running back in the entire running back room, and he showed it with a 60-yard touchdown. Or are you more excited about Ben Sinnott? Are you excited about Deebo Samuel looking more like a pure receiver than we've ever seen before in his 49ers career? Laramie Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore pulling up, looking 100% ready and conditioned, healthy, all of that. Let me know which part of this video you're the most excited about, and hey, make sure you stay tuned. I'm gonna update y'all every time they have any practice open to the media. They're showing the clips. I'm gonna show y'all the clips just like I did in this video and break them down like I do every time. So stay tuned for another one of these, I guess technically later on today, June 11th, after we have our practice that's on June 11th. So stay tuned for that. Really appreciate y'all. Leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.